This week in East Brunswick, senior citizens at the library were entertained by 7th, 8th, and 9th graders from Churchill School. The program was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and the reception by the seniors showed that they enjoyed what they saw. Also at the library, Friends of the Library and Artists League of Central New Jersey kicked off their Artists in Residence series called Art Goes Public with watercolorist Joanne Augustine. John Meggiolaro, host of Channel 8's Sports Talk, was on hand at the District 20 wrestling tournament held at the high school this Saturday. Later we'll see his interviews with the coaches as well as some wrestling action. Also this week, Adrian Eisner of the Township Consumer Affairs Office will be in the studio to offer tips on selecting summer camp for your child. At this week's council meeting, Store Communications, owner of East Brunswick's cable franchise, spoke to the council about complaints, billing, and the system rebuild, which is currently in progress. During the public portion of the meeting, many angry taxpayers voiced concern over the new reevaluation figures and complained about the firm which conducted the reeval. First, let's watch some talented young people from Churchill School performing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Everyone out there playing with everything he's got. Brown, I thought of some new strategy for you. Why don't we tell the other team we're going to meet them at a certain place? Only it isn't the real place, see? And then, when they don't show up, we'll win by forfeit. Isn't that great strategy? I don't understand these managers who don't want to use good strategy.
The thing we have to remember is spirit and teamwork. If we all really grit our teeth and bear down and show that we can finish on this.
Charlie Brown, is Lucy going to pitch again? Because if she does, I quit. You know what she does? She's always calling me out at conferences on the mound. I go out there, see? I go out there for a secret conference on the mound, and do you know what she does? She kisses me on the nose.
If we all really... Perhaps you shouldn't be playing manager, Charlie Brown. Perhaps you should be a bench manager. That's a good idea, Charlie Brown. You'd make a great bench manager. You could say, bench do this or bench do that. You could even be in charge of where we put the bench. When we get to the playing field, you could say, let's put the bench over here. Or let's put the bench over there. I can't stand it!
What's the sense of our playing when we know we're going to lose? If there was even a 1,000,000 to 1 chance we might win, it would make some sense.
Well, there may not be 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but I'm sure that there's at least 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance. Now come on, give me a team!
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 There is no team like the best team, which is our team right here. We will show you we're the best team in the very little league this year. And in no time we'll be big time with the big league baseball stars. For all we have to do is win this one more game, and the championship is ours.
I feel every now and then that I gotta fight someone. I know every now and then what I want to be. A fierce jungle animal crouched on the limb of a tree. I'd stay very, very still until I see a victim come. I'd wait knowing very well every second counts. And then, like the fierce jungle creature I am, I would pounce. I'd pounce! I'd pounce! You know, I never realized it was such a long way down to the ground from here.
The name of the book about which this book report is about is Peter Rabbit, which is about this rabbit. I found it very, I
This past Saturday and Sunday, the Friends of the Library and the Artists League of Central Jersey co-sponsored Art Goes Public, Artist in Residence program featuring watercolor artist Joanne Augustine in residence at the library. Ms. Augustine has won numerous awards and honors in her medium of watercolor. She has exhibited in many juried shows and invitational exhibitions and one-woman shows throughout the New Jersey, New York area. Currently, she is teaching water-based media classes at the Princeton Art Association, Princeton Adult School, Tri-County Art Association, and privately in her studio in Princeton. The Art Goes Public Artist in Residence program will feature 7 jury-selected accomplished artists working in a variety of media. This innovative program brings these artists out of their private studios and into public libraries of the Middlesex County, where their evolving creative processes and techniques will be accessible to the general public. During Ms. Augustine's 2-day residency, she created artwork as she does in her studio, but in a central part of the library where the public passing in and out had an opportunity to observe the evolving works and to communicate with her. A second residency at the library will take place on March 19th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and March 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Featured on that weekend will be East Windsor artist Stephanie Mandelbaum, who will be creating 2- and 3-dimensional mixed media constructions with a saw, fabric, wood, canvas, and other materials. Her exhibition record is extensive in juried and invitational shows in the New York, New Jersey region, and her work is in many private collections. Again, the second in the series of Artists in Residence at the East Brunswick Library featuring Stephanie Mandelbaum will take place on March 19th and March 20th.
Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro with the sports report for This Week in East Brunswick. I'm at East Brunswick High School with head wrestling coach Paul Quirk as he and his team prepare for the District 20 championships. Paul, welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. I know you've had another successful wrestling season and we'd like to talk a little bit about it. Last week I believe you won the counties for the second or third time in a row?
Second time.
Second time in a row.
We don't get those mixed up because it took a long time for the first one to come through, and we were very pleased with the team's performance there.
Well, I want to ask you a question. I noticed that this year you only had 11 dual matches, I believe, or 12?
Counting sectionals, we had 12.
That's unusually low, isn't it, for a high school wrestling team?
Yes, well, there's been some changes in the schedule. Our conference has changed, and we were trying to pick up some outside meets, so in being unable to get the dual meets, we decided to go with a few extra tournaments. We've been involved. Let's see, the counties was our third. This would actually be the 4th tournament for the kids, the districts.
You prefer a tournament over dual meet action?
Well, not necessarily. Tournaments are important, though, to prepare the kids for this postseason action. Because the districts actually is just the beginning of the state tournament. As you know, the winners and runner-ups advance to the regions, and then the region champions and the runner-ups advance to the state. So the more experience they can get in a tournament situation, the better off they are for it.
Paul, let's take some time. I know last year when you joined us on Sports Talk, you ran through the team, and if you would, I'd like to ask you again to go through your team. Give us their dual meet records, if you will, and how they are each progressing through this season.
Okay, I'll try to cover them all, beginning with Trevor Lewis is a junior. At present, he's 21-2. Trevor has won 3 titles this year.
Great.
He's been outstanding. He suffered his only 2 losses in the counties. He'd be unhappy with me mentioning that, but he's fine. He's a little technician. He's really slick on the mat. At 108, we have another junior, Tim Henderson. He's a first-year wrestler. He's had some problems in the varsity competition due to his inexperience, but he's coming along nicely, and we're hoping for big things for him for next year. He's improving with every match. 115 is Jim Doyle, another junior. Jim is in his 2nd year of varsity competition. At present, he's 14-8, and I'm sure he's looking forward to doing well in this tournament. He made it through last night, and we're looking to him. Tony Koval at 122. Tony's in a unique position. He's 15-6 at present, and this is Tony's 3rd year of varsity. He's one of the few wrestlers in East Brunswick history that competed on the varsity team as a freshman.
Wow.
He opted to do that when he was a freshman. At 129, entered in this tournament is Mark Hamill, who's a senior. Mark is 7-6. Mark is 4th seeded here. but this should be a big match for him in the semifinals. He faces the top seed.
Wow.
There's also been some kids getting some action there on and off during the season when Mark was out. Dennis Alvarez, Jr., and also Mike Slowinski has seen some action at 29 and 35. 135 is Tim Torrey. Tim is a junior, missed portions of the season due to injury. Tim is 7 and 3, but in that record, he squeezed a lot into a short time. One thing he's very, very proud of, I'm sure, is his county championship that he won last week in a very tough weight class, by the way. 141, Bill Beveridge, a senior. We've been trying to rest Bill prior to this tournament. He had a little problem with some minor injuries, so he's a go. He's 12 and 7 to date, and he's been doing well in tournament competition also. At 148, we have one of our tri-captains, Jeff Meserole. Jeff is 15, 6 and 1 coming into this tournament. He's a defending champion at this weight class, so I'm sure he's looking forward to the competition. 158, Ted Slowinski. Everybody knows Ted. Everyone knows Ted. They want to hear about Ted. Ted is 20 and 2 to date, and I guess the reason everyone knows Ted is because he's been so outstanding in the past.
Yes.
This year is no exception. He's a county champion, and he is, and we are very proud of the fact that he was chosen as one of the outstanding wrestlers in the county tournament. It's quite an honor in that field of competition. Also seeing some action occasionally at 158 and 170 is Larry Clark. He's really been instrumental in the team's success in some of the important meets. They nicknamed it, the sports writers tease us about the bear shift, but fortunately it worked well, and through Larry and Ted and some of these guys up top, it really worked out nicely. At 170 has been Glenn Pazinko. The other guys on the team are starting to call him the super sophomore. He's doing okay. He's 18, 4 and 1 right now.
Wow.
This is his first district tournament, so he's looking forward to it, I'm sure.
Great.
188 is another familiar name, Chuck Fedak.
Great.
Chuck is unbelievable. He's 21 and 1 at present, and his wins, every one of them has either been by a pin where his opponent had a default. He really hasn't gone the distance. Chuck is known for his strength and power, and he's just incredible when he steps on the mat. At heavyweight, we have a senior, Victor Delfonso. He's been improving with every match. He did place in one tournament this year. He took a second in the Woodbridge tournament, and he had a nice close bout last night. Gave it his best shot, but he was eliminated from competition last night. John, there's just two other fellows I would like to mention because they contributed somewhat too. One is George Thiel, who unfortunately had an accident at the beginning of the season, and that cut him for most of the season. But we finally did get him back in the lineup toward the end, and he got his first varsity win. Another senior, Sean Goldshine, and Sean won the Woodbridge tournament this year, early in the season.
I'm glad you included them.
Yes, I hope I didn't omit anyone. I think we covered the basic parts.
Paul, quick question. This year, where's your strength? In the lower weights, the upper weights? I know each year it seems to fluctuate.
Well, I would say overall, the other teams looking at us probably think from the middle to the upper weights is the strength that they're concerned about. Our light weights are good and competitive, but as far as their credentials on paper, they're not quite as outstanding as some of the boys in the middle. We have some experienced guys who've been around for a while. They know what they're up against when I start talking Beveridge, Meserole, Slowinski. You know, they know what they're facing.
They know the names,
Yeah.
Paul, I want to thank you for being with us, and I'd like to bring in your assistant coach, Greg DeMarco. Joining us now is Greg DeMarco, assistant coach at East Brunswick High School. Greg, I want to welcome you to This Week in East Brunswick, and you're new to our viewing audience, so if you would take a moment and give us some of your background.
Well, John, I am relatively new to this program here at East Brunswick. I might add it's been a pleasure. This is my third year here. I formerly come from Amityville High School, which is somewhat notorious for a film there, but that's where I did my wrestling in my high school days. I started my head coaching at Madison Central High School, and I was there for approximately 7 years. And we had some relatively good teams in those times.
Yes, I know.
After that, I spent 3 years as an assistant coach at Middlesex County College under John Sachi, who, in my mind, is one of the best collegiate coaches in the East. He was outstanding. I was with him, as I said, for 3 years, but I missed high school wrestling, and fortunately East Brunswick had a position open, so here I am, and I hope to stay here for quite some time.
Well, I'm sure Paul Quirk and the rest of the people in East Brunswick hope that you stay for a very long time. You're a highly successful coach and a reputation that's well deserved. But Greg, let me ask you, we're now talking about the districts, and last night was the opening round, and if you would give us some background as to what happened with the East Brunswick team.
We did quite well. We put 10 wrestlers out of 12 through that first round.
Great.
Which is just one short of the record. We do have several wrestlers who are seeking their third title, which is outstanding, third district title.
I'm sorry, district title, right.
And a couple of them are looking for their second title.
Great.
That includes Tim Torrey at 135 pounds. He's returning and defending champion. Jeff Meserol at 148 is looking for his second title. And then we have two other fellows who, in the entire history of East Brunswick wrestling, only 4 wrestlers have ever done this before, and that is they're looking for their third district title.
Great.
And that includes Teddy Slawinski at 158
Right.
and Chuck Fidek at 188. So we're doing very well. This round coming up, though, is a big round. If they win here, then they get to advance to the region tournament.
Okay, would you explain that, please, how that works?
Okay, there are 32 districts throughout the state. Our District 20 has approximately 9 teams in it.
Right.
If a wrestler takes first or second in this district tournament, they advance to the regions. Now, the region will be held starting tomorrow night, which is, of course, Friday, at Piscataway High School.
Right.
It's Region 5. It's a very tough region. We are new to it this year. If they take first or second in that, then they advance to the states.
The states, which is held at Jadwin Gym.
Jadwin Gym at Princeton University, and that is the ultimate goal. That's where we want to be. We want to get to Jadwin.
Greg, let me ask you a question. Is there any difference from your standpoint in coaching a dual meet and then coming to a district tournament and coaching?
Yes.
Do you approach it differently?
Yes, they are different. In a tournament of this type, you need a stanima, which is not that necessary in a dual meet. In a dual meet, it's a one-shot deal. You can give everything you have.
Right.
But in a tournament type thing, you have to learn how to rest yourself between rounds, how to get mentally prepared for each match,
Right.
and it is quite different, which is one reason we have put an emphasis this year on tournaments. We've wrestled more tournaments this
Right.
year than we have in all the others. And we want our wrestlers prepared for the competition they're about to meet these next couple weeks.
Well, Greg, I want to thank you for being with us. Again, good luck in the districts, and I know we're glad to have you here at East Brunswick. I'd like to now bring in this year's tri-captains for the East Brunswick High School wrestling team. Joining us now is one of the East Brunswick High School's wrestling captains, Jeff Meserol. Jeff, I want to ask you, you're going into the districts today, what your feelings are about the upcoming matches that you'll face, and who do you think will be your toughest opponent?
Well, in the semifinals, I have a kid from Saraville. And if I advance there, I should have Rotolo from North Brunswick in the finals. It should be a good match.
Have you faced any of these guys before?
Yes, I wrestled Rotolo in the county consolations. I beat him 9-2.
9-2, so you're somewhat confident that you can handle them again, right?
Yeah, but wrestling things always change. Got to go out there, just wrestle my best.
What are you looking forward to after this, after the districts?
Looking to do well in the regions and make it to Jadwin.
Okay, Jeff, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Our second team captain with us this afternoon is Ted Slawinski. Ted, basically the same question I just asked Jeff. Who do you look for to wrestle in the districts as being a tough match for you this afternoon?
Well, first I have a wrestler from North Brunswick. I feel very confident about beating him. Then I'll probably have to wrestle Kevin Williams from New Brunswick.
Tough?
Well, I finished ahead of him in the county, and I feel if I wrestle my match, I should have no trouble winning.
Okay, so you're somewhat familiar with these guys as Jeff was. You've wrestled them
Yes.
before. Well, Ted, lots of luck to you this afternoon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Our last captain this afternoon for East Brunswick is Chuck Fidek. Chuck, you've are defending district champion. This will be your third district tournament, and you've been to the states twice. What are your feelings going into this year's districts?
This year's district is a little easier than some of the districts in the past, but I feel my toughest competition right now will be guy Greg Faust from South River in the finals. We'll probably see him.
Have you wrestled him before?
No, I haven't wrestled him this year. He placed 4th in the counties, I believe.
So you don't think you'll have any problems moving on to the regions this year?
No, I really can't see any problems.
How about looking ahead to the regions?
Well, the regions also look pretty good right now. I'm defending region champion from last year.
That's right.
So I'll be looking for another title. We're in a different region now.
Yeah.
A lot of tougher teams, and it should be really interesting.
Well, Chuck, good luck to you today, and I hope to see you down in Jadwin.
Okay, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our wrestling preview. For This Week in East Brunswick, I'm John Meggiolaro.
And now let's look at some scenes from the wrestling action this Saturday at the high school.
Hello, welcome to Consumer Aware. I'm Adrienne Eisner of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. This is the time of the year when many of you will be thinking about selecting a summer camp for your children. Each summer, millions of children enjoy the special experiences of summer camps. Yet for parents, choosing the right camp can be difficult and confusing. Careful consideration and investigation can make your selection easier. Before beginning the search for a summer camp, first clarify your own and your child's needs. Be very specific in your requirements. Are you looking for a day camp or a sleepaway camp? A special interest camp or one which provides a vast variety of activities? Evaluate the needs of your child as well. Is he or she ready for a 1 or 2 week stay away from home, or perhaps for the entire summer? Is he or she happy in a large group or small group situation, in a competitive or non-competitive environment? Where do you begin your search? Parents whose children have previously been to camp may be the best information available. But remember to talk to the children as well. Consult the public library for available information. You might wish to use the services of a camp advisory service. Most of these services collect their fees from the camps and not from the patrons. After obtaining applications and brochures from a number of camps, assess them carefully. Camp directors are usually happy to answer your questions. Some major points of consideration are as follows. Check the camp routine. Ask for a description of a typical weekly schedule. Look for diversity so children do not become unhappy or bored. Look into the health and safety factors in the camp. Many states require inspection of camps for health and safety reasons. Ask to see a certification which shows that that camp has met the particular state's standards. Look for an infirmary or first aid station which is well lighted at night. Will a registered nurse or doctor be on call? What does the camp do in emergency situations? Where is the nearest hospital? Be sure that swimming, boating, and other waterfront activities are supervised by a qualified person. Check into the staff of the camp. The majority of counselors should be over the age of 18. Inquire about the counselor-camper ratio to get a better idea of how well the campers are supervised. Also, find out what supervision is given to the campers at night. Check on the available facilities for sports activities, arts and crafts, dining, etc. Before committing yourself to signing any contracts, it is important that you understand the camp's payment policies. Are refunds given, or are deposits non-refundable? There are also some general concerns. Should the camper bring money? And if so, how is this handled? What is done with laundry? What is the camp's attitude toward phone calls and visitors? Going to camp can be an enriching experience. It can provide the child with a chance to see him or herself in a different environment. The wise consumer will find the right camp through careful investigation, and involving the child in the search and selection can make it a rewarding family experience. If you have any questions about selecting a camp for your child, please call us at the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. We're there Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Our telephone number is 390-6954. And thank you so much for joining me on Consumer Aware.
At this week's Township Council meeting, Mary Tenaccio of the Township Consumer Affairs Office reported on Store Communications' recent service performance. Both service response time and complaints have decreased. Later, Jonathan Jones responded to a question on the rebuilding of the system.
For me, what does rebuild mean? Does that mean that we're going to get new wiring into the house for this cable, plus new selectors that work, and that maybe this snowy business and this stuff will be eliminated?
A rebuild involves, in this situation, virtually every portion of the cable television system, from the antennae on the top of the tower to the wire that goes from the channel selector to the back of the television to the matching transformer which attaches to the television. All brand new, costing in excess of $3.5 million. Let's see, the north end came up. Yes, indeed, the north end has been a problem area. We are painfully aware of it. And you will note, if you get a chance to look at this map closely, that it is marked in phases, 8 total phases. The first 3, first would be the north end if we could do it that way, but the signal must emanate from our head end, our tower, which is more in the central portion of the town. From there, we have moved north first. Phases 2 and 3 are the north end of the township, so that we can resolve those problems first.
Later, when the topic turned to the revaluation, Councilman O'Connor explained the appeal procedure.
I'll say again that I simply want to review the process by which all the residents of the township may be able to appeal the recent revaluation placed on their home. I think Mr. Bush will probably or maybe answer some questions later on, but my purpose here right now is just to simply review the process. As you know, on each of the tax or the evaluation statements that you did receive, there was a phone number for every resident to call, Associated Surveys, to set up an appointment. Once that appointment is made, I think some of you probably already know that no instant decisions will be made once you go through that process. But rather, all the information that you're concerned about, all the questions you have, certainly will be taken down. And that information will be categorized by Associated Surveys, Mr. Bailey, by geographical location within the town. Once all the requests have been made by residents for their reviews, those specific categories will be reviewed again by geographic location, at which time questions, your questions, will be gone over by a committee of 4 people in Associated Surveys, so that you will either have you will certainly get a response from Associated Surveys. And the response may either be a reduction in the valuation that's been placed on your home, or there may be no change whatsoever. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are no instant decisions being made, that all the information from the various residents in the various locations are being categorized by geographical location. And that's important for the Associated Surveys and Mr. Bailey to look at all the complaints by geographical location, so that they also can make a comparison, just as you folks also want to make a comparison about your valuation and your neighbors or those perhaps down the street. You will receive that response within 6 to 8 weeks after your appearance, your first appearance at Associated Surveys. The information that they do in fact receive from Associated Surveys 6 to 8 weeks after your initial appearance, then you as residents must know that you do have the option of going to the Middlesex County Board of Taxation up until August 15th to appeal that particular decision that's been made. Mr. Bailey has also informed me that that he will be most willing to assist any resident in the preparation of a tax appeal. So for some of you, I'm sure most of you, probably do not know how to prepare those tax appeals. I don't either. If I were going to appeal, and I may, I would have to see Mr. Bailey about that. I simply want to point out to you that if you don't ask for help in filing an appeal, then I don't know how you're going to be able to get that help. Mr. Bailey will be here to do that for you.
Later, a question from a resident was answered by Township Attorney Bertram Bush.
My concern is not with the method of appeal, which Mr. O'Connor mentioned, but I understand that the reevaluation was done at a cost of about $400,000, which had to be authorized by his body. I was also advised last week, watching the Sunday on Channel 8, that one of the reasons that the homeowners' taxes have gone up significantly this year is because taxes are being reduced on commercial and industrial property because of the economy. And my question is, how was that decision arrived at, and who arrived at the decision that commercial and industrial property would be evaluated lower because of the economy?
Yeah, basically, Mr. Bailey eventually will set the assessment. In a way, it's incorrect to say you've had a revaluation from the first preliminary cut of figures. As Mr. O'Connor indicated, eventually you will get a tax bill with your assessed figures for land and improvement. What Mr. Bailey does by following a manual, he looks at square footage, he computes certain things, the same thing that Associated Surveys did, but eventually when he comes up with figures for commercial and industrial, he has to justify that to a certain extent by the income that they generate. On the one hand, they could not purposely deflate that income. We had a discussion at the agenda session last week. Suppose you rented from your brother-in-law at $1 a year. Wouldn't that then become rental property, and wouldn't your taxes be 50 cents? If it's not realistic in terms of what he knows the market to be, he computes something called economic rents, and he looks at what the market should be, whether it's shopping center or industrial property. But while we all may be affected by the recession, and Mr. Kroger, I fully understand what you said, that you are subsidizing the business and industrial community in town, basically. This is the formula that our tax courts have applied as far as business and commercial property. It's the same reason that we had the revaluation in the first place, because our ratio between actual value on the one hand and assessed value on the other had fallen so far that our commercial industrial garden apartments were able to win major appeals if they didn't fit within that range. We were at 55%, and if they were assessed at above 15% above that or above 68%, they would drop all the way to the 55. We were ordered by the county tax board to have a revaluation because we had fallen so far from 100%. And yes, I think that the system is unfair in a way to residential properties, but I can tell you that East Brunswick will follow whatever the law is.